Right, welcome everybody to Gogotalx, brought to you by Gogotalx. I'm your host, Malachi Johns. If you are over on Instagram, thank you for joining. Do me a favor, head over to gogotalx.co, which is where the full interview is happening. You can see the other side of the conversation over there with my man Akil today. So again, if you're on Instagram, head over to gogotalx.co and run a couple spots here, and then we'll be right back with my man Akil. All right, so head on over to gogotalx.co/shop. Get your Gogo as Fuck t-shirt or sweatshirt right now. Support the cause. Appreciate you. My man Akil, how you doing today, sir?
What's good, my brother? What's good, Malachi? Thanks for inviting me out, man. You know, to go.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I feel a little too hyped now. Y'all chill with the Hindi stuff in the background, and I'm all hyped. So let me calm down a little bit.
Hey, your background is pretty neat too. I like that.
Yeah, man, it was really exciting. We moved into this fancy new place just to have the entire live music industry, my entire source of income, collapse. So it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah, man.
So, can you tell us about how you got into the entertainment industry / music business, etc., where you're originally from and all that kind of stuff?
Long and short of it. I'm originally from Chicago.
As long as you want. Take as long as you want.
No, okay. Well, I'm originally from Chicago. Mm-hmm. I came out here in 1993. I transferred to Howard University. Of course, I thought I could rap. Akil. So when you hear it, don't fear it, get near it, because it's short for always kicking ill lyrics. But I sucked back in the day naturally. So I was watching BET Rap City.
Okay.
And again, I'm majoring in physical therapy.
Okay.
And I saw Shy, the group Shy, on BET with Chris Thomas. I'm like,
if I ever fall in love again.
What's that?
If I ever fall in love again.
Yes. Yeah. That was like the second or third rap group, because again, I'm watching BET. I heard, it was from Howard University. And I was like, you know what? I got the grades. So I did a little research, and they had a school of physical therapy. They were an accredited school of physical therapy. Mm-hmm. Had the grades, so I transferred. When I transferred, they phased out the physical therapy program, which meant you had to get your bachelor's in biology and then apply to a school of physical therapy. You can get on a 2-year track or a 3-year track. Okay. Now, I'm transferring as a second semester junior in college.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? All of my prereqs were, the freshman and sophomore prerequisites and kind of, sciences and math for physical therapy. But I took 2 elective classes, intro to acting, and I was a figure drawing model.
You were a what model?
A figure drawing model. Like I sat in class in a jock strap, and art students would draw me. You know what I'm saying? Okay. They paid me like $40 to sit there for what? Classes, 90 minutes or something like that? I was like, shit, all right. That was crazy. And I'll be forgetting that sometimes. But nonetheless, I had the grades. I transferred to Howard. And since I had that background, I got the skeletons from the various departments, and I was called telecommunications management. That was the quickest thing out of it. I was like, you know what? So telecommunications management, let me get me a degree. And I figured, you know what? Maybe go on the radio, be a 6 to 10 job. So I started working at WHBC, the Howard University student station that just broadcast to the dorms.
Okay.
And the girl that was on air before me, she told me, she said, BMG Arista is coming to interview interns. The lady's coming down from New York. It's a paid internship and you get to travel. Okay, what do you get to travel to? She said Philly and Richmond. And it's like, a paid internship. I'm in DC, Right. All right, cool. So I sent the lady my resume, and this is before I knew, take an extra copy and that whole bit. So I called her. She's like, sure, just fax it over. I faxed it, and they told me to come out to when they had the branch in Atlanta off MLK. So I'm from Chicago. I drive out there, and dude, I walk into a record label branch. Nipper, the RCA dog, the plastic joint, about 3 foot high, stared at me at the door. I see plaques, I see desks, I see this conference room with tables and one of those phones that look like a spaceship and a huge screen TV. I'm like, and the only thing I could compare it to was the Luke Skywalker video. At the end of the first video, at the end of it, they're sitting there in the boardroom like, let's run that back again. That's the only thing I could compare it to. So nonetheless, I interviewed, got the internship, and stumbled upon a career.
Nice.
This was in distribution. So I dealt with record stores.
Okay.
Cities in Southeast, what are some of the record stores around here? Rainbow Music, all the record stores around here. I used to send them 99-cent cassette singles, from the brand. And when artists would come to town, this is DC and Baltimore, and that's how I actually met some of the guys from downtown Unruly Records, downtown locker room.
Yeah, Sean Caesar and all those like that.
Sean Caesar was the first person from Baltimore I met in the music industry. And what they've done with DTLR and music, fashion, lifestyle. Yeah. But yeah, man, so I stumbled upon a career. I finished in 95. My first job was in Philly. I was a field marketing rep. I used to go and hang posters in record stores. And when artists come to town, I was the person taking them to the record stores.
Yeah.
I was a product development coordinator in Detroit once I left Philly. And I left and went to Philly in 95, Detroit in 97, and came back to DC in 98. And I've been here ever since. Started at Records doing radio.
Okay. So how is that? Because Jive went away, right? So it's
Jive and J Records merged.
Yep.
Got rid of the names, and now we're RCA Records.
Gotcha. So are there any other subsidiaries under RCA right now? Are there any downstream labels under RCA right now? Or?
We got a few production deals like with By Storm, Polo Grounds with ASAP Rocky. There are quite a few we're doing, and now, dude, deals are so a la carte now. Because we have this thing like, we send out something that's unannounced and signed, like things like that. So there's a lot of business structure that they're doing because, again, we have the ability to do a lot of things on our own.
Right.
So
right. Gotcha. Got my man Bo Sampson over here on Instagram. Hey, everybody that's on Instagram, head over to gogotalx.co. And you can, oh shit, I'm sorry, I got this flipped around the wrong way. Go over to gogotalx.co and you can just click on today's episode and click watch and it'll take you to YouTube. That's where the real interview is going on, so you can see the other side of it. And you can ask questions in the chat and stuff on there as well. So make sure you head over to gogotalx.co. Also, you can just go to youtube.com/gogotalx. And you can see the whole interview over here with Akil smiling face as well, instead of just smiling. But and I keep flipping it around by accident and showing them my office chair with the pillows on it. So okay, so I want to stay a little bit on what you just said. So you're saying that the deals are different now,
right? And
so this interview, the purpose of this interview series is to sort of spread the information. My objective, obviously, with Marvel Sauce and even before that, when I played with Northeast Groovers and all that, has always been to elevate go-go, on a national, international scale on a sustained basis. Obviously, we have an occasional glimmer of hope here and there, and but I mean, for there to be multiple artists within the genre, working and having records and, nationally, internationally played, etc. So a lot of I mean, there's a million different reasons why that isn't the case. One of them, I feel, is a lack of information about how the record industry works. A lot of people just in being in these different Facebook groups and stuff like that I'm in, are still talking about how things were 20 years ago, much less 5 years ago, and things aren't even the same as they were 5 years ago now. So in what ways would you say are the most, I guess, of course I'm at a loss for words right now, but what are the most definitive ways that you can say that things are different now than they were in the past in terms of deals and stuff at labels?
Like I was mentioned before, everything is a la carte. Like, due to technology.
And what do you mean by that for people that don't know, anything about the record industry? What do you mean by that?
Right, get into that. You can build, you can do what you want now. You can set up and we're doing shows now live from our studios and our living rooms. You're right. We have platforms now. Now we can record, we can upload it, and it has access to the globe. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many different ways to get music now. And really it's about cultivating a fan base. And when you do that, you kind of figure out neat ways to kind of monetize that, and sometimes it's not selling the music. It might be selling merch, like those guys on the West Coast, the young dudes, Off the Wall, Wolfgang Off the Wall. What's one? Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, yeah. Odd Future, yeah.
Odd Future. I can't name 2 records of theirs.
Right.
But guess what?
They got festivals.
They're putting out content to their audience, and I would dare say it's probably global. I'm sure they got their passports to stamp. I'm certain. I'm certain.
100%. Yeah.
We just signed an artist. Brock Hampton, out of Austin, San Antonio. They're another collective.
Yep.
Musicians, producers, writers, videographers, the whole 9, and they got like one of the old school deals. Because again, all you have to do is give them a budget. And eventually something's going to kick, but you have to be willing to do the work. And also, nowadays, you can generate revenue without a quote unquote hit. You can absolutely generate revenue because the festival circuit, and I hope it comes back. I hope it comes back because I want to put on a festival, but that's another story. The festival circuit, a B-level artist can do 5 festivals and make well into 6 figures. Don't let them have one of those like a super duper global hit. I mean, make well into 6 figures. Just doing 5. This is trying to catch 5 shows from April to September.
Yep.
So there is a way to generate some revenue. However, I will say that getting a radio record gives you the best potential to change your tax bracket. You know what I'm saying? That gives you the best potential to change your tax bracket. So I always say like artists, not just go-go artists, but artists, period. Like, what's your end game? Because when you're doing it yourself, you end up learning what to go to the table and even ask for. That's why I say it's a la carte. Because like guys like on the West Coast, they've been doing a la carte deals. Like, no. This is what I need you for. Like, I can shoot my own videos. And I need, you know what I'm saying, maybe access to a little bit of publicists, producers, and tell that A&R boy, like, he can come down here and he can see what we're doing. And look, that's what it is. Like, everybody is self-contained, and we have the ability to be now. Yeah.
Right. So just because that's important, because there's a lot of still in the go-go industry, and even just in sort of the DMV sort of live music industry, not as much in the hip hop, they've sort of figured it out a little bit, but there's sort of this misguided idea that somebody's just going to come press some magic success button for you, and all you need to do is find the right manager or the right label or the right whoever, somebody that's going to swoop in and save you. And that's, first of all, it's never how it's worked. But now it's even way less how it's worked. It's just what you were speaking about. Like, all of these successful artists, they have their own video team. They have their own, they may or may not have their own publicists already. They have, they're booking shows. They have I own an independent booking agency. I booked $1 million worth of shows last year, and you may or may not have ever heard of any of the artists that I work with. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah. So there's definitely a whole nother level of infrastructure under the radio. So that brings me to my next point, which is, you know, radio is the last stop. It's not the first stop. And so Gogo has it in their head. I shouldn't say Gogo, but a lot of people in the Gogo community have it in their head that we're not successful because WPGC and WKYS aren't supporting us anymore.
No.
And the reality of the situation is that you're not going to get to WPGC or KYS until you have something else already going on. So staying on the radio thing for a minute, because I interviewed Marty Shulman from Atlantic.
Yeah, I saw that interview.
Okay, so you did. Yeah, so I interviewed him. So, but again, let's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't hear you.
I don't know if we personally met, but we've been in the same
circles. Yeah, I'm sure. So if you can, for other people, that may not be aware, like break down what it is you do and sort of what's like a day-to-day, what's day-to-day in the life of a director of. And are you urban or rhythmic, or what's your
urban?
Urban. Okay, so a director of urban promotion for RCA Records. What does that mean, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Day-to-day now, and which was pretty much a good portion of the day, I'm calling stations like KYS, PGC. I'm calling these type of stations from New York to North Carolina. And I know New York City, headquarters do power and Hot 97, but Rochester, Buffalo, Philly, Baltimore, Delaware, and went down to North Carolina. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you call them to do what?
To play. My job is to get records played on our label. Chris Brown, SZA, Mulatto is the current one we got now. Dream Doll. I don't know if any of the people who are watching us saw like the Dream Doll and Mulatto when they were on live with Bacon Bear. Mm-hmm. So those are things we're doing now. We got Ro James. That's an artist of ours. Got an album coming out, Mantic, at on Friday. So
right.
That's and it's all the artists on our roster.
Gotcha. Everybody that's on the urban roster for RCA Records, from upstate New York down to North Carolina, with excluding New York City, you are the person that's in contact with, and for people that don't know, the program directors, the directors, the
radio stations, radio
show. And are you dealing directly with the mix show as well? You're
absolutely. I'm not the mix show director. We have a department, but I mean, come on, how do you not mess with Reds and Quicksilver and, you know what I'm saying, Gemini? How do you not, you know what I'm saying? I get records played, and I talk to music people and DJs for real, like they're the key to this whole man. At the end of the day, now you got the playlisters, but it's still the DJ. He's definitely an integral part of this whole game.
Right. So just to clarify for people that don't know, so the difference between the mix show and rotation is the mix show is the DJ, whoever's playing at the time, whether it's, Quicksilver or Jealousy or, whatever, they have some more, Jeff, that's my man. They have some more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know why I can't articulate myself today. They have
a little bit more flexibility. They can do the program director still has to most program. It varies from station to station, but still the programmer he's responsible for what goes on over the air.
Yep.
Mixers they can blend records, and they can, and the mixers, they know how records react with the people. Quote unquote. I mean, now with the internet, everything is a little different, but generally speaking, DJs have the best know-how as far as how music relates to the people.
Because they have the most direct contact with them in the clubs or whatever, and they're right on the front line seeing it. They're not just programming it from afar; they're actually in the mix of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that is so the DJs are sort of what you call the mix show, and then there's a mix show director like Jealousy over at PGC and formerly Book, and they sort of determine what gets played in that, and then in terms of rotation, and then there are different levels of rotation. There's light, medium, heavy, and all of those are still, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, still determined by what they call out research, which means you play a song, you convince the program director to play your song. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going straight to heavy rotation. It means that they're going to do what they call research on it, and they're going to call a select group of people and say, hey, do you like this record? And they're going to give feedback on it. And if the feedback is good, then the record continues to climb up in the level of rotation. Did I describe that correctly?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the lifespan of a record, you service the record to the station.
Yep.
It's a hip hop record. You start out, maybe if you can spike it, certain radio stations have features, make it or break it, top 8 at 8, that type of thing. So you try to mix your spins and just spike it. And then if it's maybe a hip hop record, you want it to start in their night show when the teens are listening from 6 to 10.
Yep.
You'll give it some spins. It can go, they can play it heavy at night or light at night. So there's different categories in that. But when it gets to now 150, 200 spins, then they can kind of decide whether or not, then that's when the research that you're talking about. And they have
I guess I left out part of the equation.
Yeah. Look. Then they have, it's a select group of people who are, what do you think about this record? Do you like it? Are you tired of it? Do we play it too much, too little? That type of thing. And then they move it accordingly. But also other metrics we use to determine records is Shazam. Now, that's a big indicator because people like Issa Rae in that show, like they are affecting music culture. When a record is played on that TV show, there is a jump in Shazam. She right now has the pulse of urban culture because women, black women, pretty much drive urban culture, and they are locked into that show. So, and that's another thing. We also monitor streams now. And there's a science, but it's also art because music now lives in this funny little place where it's particularly kids. If a record is popping online, the minute it gets to the radio, like, I like their old stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I remember my boss's old assistant, this happened with Kendrick Lamar, his first album. She was like, that ain't better than the mixtape that was big. I was like, it's kind of weird. Kids have this thing where they just want to go through music so fast. Yeah. That when people get attached to it, they're kind of moving on from it.
So how has that affected release schedules and how records are released versus how they were released over the past 10 years or so? If the attention span is shorter, does that require, and I know the answer to this question, but I'm asking viewers, how has that affected the release schedule? Does that require more music being put out, more content being put out? How does that benefit?
Absolutely. And it's also content outside of the music place. And it's also creative ways to release content. Like people like, Beyonce and Breezy, they can decide, you know what? Chris Brown can decide today that he wants to put out a record next Friday and maybe tell a label Wednesday, maybe, if he wants to, or he'll just say it and then it'll be a fire drill from now. Try to just get some things in place, or they'll just sneak out records and then we have to go play catch up. So but some artists, you want to take your time. Like if they've been in the marketplace and they want to come back, you sometimes have to be a little bit more tactful with how you release and maybe try to do a setup. So again, now, dude, we're still figuring this out. You know what I'm saying? Not just in lieu of the quarantine, but that just really, the metamorphosis continues. You know what I'm saying? It continues. But this digital space and broadcast radio and generating revenue and filling seats and being a star, it's up to the artist to decide kind of what they want to do. And I'll give you a case in point. Khalid's manager. Before he was managing Khalid, he was managing Bobby Valentino.
Yep.
Now, Bobby Valentino is the type of artist where you got to take what they give you. You go and do Love, if Stadium, you go and do Dream, if Stadium want to give you some bread, you go do that. If you want West Virginia College want to give you, $5,000, you better take that 90-minute trip to West Virginia.
Yep.
From that type of grind to managing Khalid.
Yep.
Now, when you roll Khalid out, he was telling me, he's like, dude, it was so hard to convince them. It was so hard to turn down $50,000 for an hour walkthrough. But my end goal was I wanted to fill up stadiums. And now the boy can go to stadium. Does he take somebody with him? Maybe.
Man, that's super important, and as it relates to not just music, I mean specifically to go-go. And the reason I sort of stopped there and interject is because that was something that I did with Mambo Sauce. Was, as you know, with go-go bands, the typical trajectory is you build a fan base, a small fan base, and until you can leverage that fan base into a weekly gig.
Right.
And then you leverage that weekly gig into 2 to 3 weekly gigs. And that becomes an addiction and a vicious cycle. And I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way, but depending again on what you say, what your end goal is. If your end goal, which almost every artist that I've ever talked to that's within go wants to be on the level of Beyonce or something. But the problem is that the strategies to do that are totally diametrically opposed to the strategies to becoming Beyonce or becoming, I'm sorry, Backyard, I guess I should say. So Beyonce, Backyard, both successful in their own right, no disrespect to either one of them, but the strategies to become one is totally different from the strategy to become the other. So just what you described about turning down the $50,000 walkthrough at the nightclub for Khalid, I turned down every single request to play, and I got a lot of them to play from Almost Sauce to play weekly. We could have been playing 3 or 5 times a week after Miracles came out, and I said no to every single one of them. And the other thing I did was I said no to every single promoter or venue that said, hey, I'm going to tell the venue, or I'm going to tell my boss, if you guys really aren't a go-go band, we're just going to say you're an R&B band, and then you just bring the congos in the back, in the back door or something. And I said no, because this is a go-go band. The whole purpose of me, of what I was trying to do with Sauce, is to try to change the stigma around what go-go is, and realize that go-go is not a monolith. It's not just its one specific thing, and you can do it in a different way that appeals to a larger swath of people. And that's hard. It's hard to do. You have people that are like, yo, I got to pay my fucking babysitter so I can come to rehearsal, and I need that $150 that I can be getting every Friday. And that's, yes, it's tough. And I'm sure it was tough for that manager to turn that 50 G's down for me, because that's, some people make that in a year. You know what I'm saying? People don't even make that in a year. So to do it for one time and to say no to that because you have a bigger vision, that takes a lot of, a lot of discipline. But that discipline is what it takes to make sure that you understand what your end goal is, and developing your brand in such a way that it fits with what that end goal is. And that means that you know what to say no to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope that anybody that's in go-go and a go-go band or whatever that's watching, please understand that is a huge thing. Real quick,
I want to piggyback on something you said.
Sure.
That's, I think, one of the problems with go-go is we don't know it's go-go. Like Crazy in Love, Richard, that's go-go.
Yeah.
But you don't consider that go-go. And just like I actually did a little research. I was like, you know what? Because again, I'm from Chicago. Trouble Funk, his genre is funk, go-go, old school hip-hop. When you read and you think, if I'm a producer, because he's been sampled so much in hip hop, Trouble Funk. If I'm a producer, I think it's funk. You know what I'm saying? Like it's this funk, it's this, you know what I'm saying? It's Trouble Funk. I took a funk sample. So part of the reason with go-go, like you said, Pete, you can do it in more than one way. It's the difference. It's the difference between dance hall and roots reggae. Roots reggae, the masses, you got to spoon feed them, give them dance hall first. And honestly, again, I'm from Chicago. So when I transferred to Howard in 93, and I'm on Howard's campus, and I hear a car rolling down through the window down playing ST Spirit, I'm like,
my old man. Yeah.
Like I thought it was horrible until I met a buddy from my man who actually got me started in this business, Smiles, because he was one of the guys who hang out with Diddy when Diddy was on the yard, and that just became my man. Probably because I had a car, so we just go to the clubs, and Rhonda Berry let me in the club free for the first time. DJ Eminem called my name on the mic for the first in Mirage. So yeah, Mirage was where I really get I get the go-go now, because you have to experience it, and it didn't help.
Yep.
Smiles and I, we used to go to the Mirage on Thursdays. and that was the night that they on strippers.
Yep.
So we get there about 11:30, 11:45. We up in the DJ booth with Eminem, and you know, the strippers is off by midnight.
Okay.
And we party until 2. So at 12:15, it's me and Smiles, and 80% of the club is women. You know what I'm saying? Because the guys trickle in 1:15. But dude, so he used to play go-go his last 30 minutes, a go-go set. And when I tell you, this girl sexually assaulted me on the dance floor, yo. And her man at the bar, she backed it up on me, didn't make eye contact with me. And I'm kind of like, because her man and a couple of his homies, a couple other girls, I'm like, and it's just me and Smile, like, yo, so but she, dude, sexually assaulted me. After it was over, life went up, they left, didn't even look me in my face. Yo, we going back. Yeah, I can't wait to go. I can't wait. Once 12:30 come, I'm going right to the center dance floor, just see what's up. It got me a little like, yay, hey. So, but the main point, you have to experience it. And until they have a record that can be translated without being in that environment, because again, it is niche, and it's not really nothing wrong with being niche, but when you want to expand, you know, Doing the Butt was national. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we kind of knew that was a go-go record, but that's one of the few records, like Bustin' Loose. I heard that when I was a shorty. I was born in 72. That record came out in 79. I heard that when I was a shorty, but it probably was funk. I thought it was funk, not go-go. Yeah. So you have to almost make it more palatable for the masses and stamp the hell out of it. Like, I don't know why Beyonce should have been Crazy in Love, but maybe, you know, in parentheses, go-go or something. Like, they needed to know that this is go-go because we love it. The masses love it. We just don't know. And I'm sure there's some go-go bands that tour nationally. I know there's some go-go bands that have at one point in time, if not now, a residency in Vegas. So people get it.
Definitely not now. I'm not for you. If you know about that, I'd be surprised.
Not like currently, but has it happened before? Because somebody told me, like, yeah, they go to Vegas, you know, once a week or something like that because they play. They had a few gigs. I didn't for a short period of time. But long point, there is a market for it. It's still niche.
Right.
Once a record once a record is more, you know, consumed and received by the masses, hopefully it's something that's stamped so people will actually know it's just go-go.
Right. So that's what you put in your thing. I say in one sentence, what do you think can move go-go to the international stage? And you said, honestly, it is international, but still niche. Although it's steadily growing, it needs a more contemporary national hit, making sure people know it's go-go. So which is basically just what you just said. So my question to you though is one hit enough?
Never one hit is enough, but at least, again, it will just help to grow because, and that's another thing, when you're dealing with creatives, I don't know that you say go make a hit. You know, not a true creative. You got to go and get it out of you and something will come. You know what I'm saying? You can throw around some ideas and see what sticks, but when you're dealing with creatives, because that'll be forced, and I think the audience will see that. And it might work. You may catch lightning in the bottle one time, but yeah, and that happens, but it's just, it has to be some consistency. But, and also, man, like I tell a lot of up and coming artists, and this just doesn't apply to go-go. When you're doing it for the money, it's kind of good luck. I get it. But, you know, yeah, it's the X factor. It's the X factor.
Well, I want to stay on that for a second. So break that down. You tell young artists when you're doing it for the money, what specifically?
Good luck, but you do have to find a way to earn some money to take care of you.
Of course.
And if you go, and the more that you do on your own, the more leverage you have when somebody is trying to do business with you. Because you get artists that you ain't cursed. You get artists that don't have much, and they have a lot of demands about what they're not.
You can curse
it. You don't have shit to give up. You don't have shit to take. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're going to record label A, what you got? My masters. You ain't master shit. How about let's create some projects? Let's develop some momentum. And a lot. That's the beauty of now. Kind of why record labels are like that. All right, we'll do a single deal with you. This is it. Okay, cool. But we get the right of first refusal. We get the first right of refusal if this shit pops.
Right.
So, and also, you mentioned it, you said a keyword earlier, infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of A&R has to convince his boss to give $250,000 to who? This record is hot.
Mm-hmm.
But who am I giving $250,000 to?
Mm-hmm.
And when I need you to be somewhere on a live at 6 o'clock on Gogotalx, who's going to make sure that you're there? You know what I'm saying? Right. When I need some shit done, so you do have to have some type of business infrastructure.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and there's a significant lack of knowledge in the go-go community about what the pieces of that infrastructure are, and how they work together, and who is or is not qualified to hold those positions. And that's sort of why part of the reason why I wanted to do this series. I mean, it's funny. Every single episode I do, I pick up another point. Like, yeah, that's why I wanted to do this series, because there's like literally 20 million different reasons why I wanted to do this. But really, there's so much misinformation circulating within the go-go community. And it's not, I don't mean to like shit on go-go, because it's not exclusive to the go-go community. It's in, just in the independent music community as well. But go-go has been successful at what it has done for so long that there's no incentive for it to not be. And it was the same thing with my wife yesterday.
Quarantine, man. It's the quarantine. That part is the quarantine. We're home.
It's all good. It's all good. But yesterday, my smoke detector was beeping throughout the entire episode, and it was so distracting. So it's all good. No worries. But yeah, so there's just so much misinformation throughout the go-go community about how, how to, I mean, and I'm not Lear Cohen or David Geffen or, I'm not pretending like I have all the answers. Yeah, no, I get it. But right. But the thing is that the people that I'm bringing on to this have some knowledge of how at least one piece of these things work.
Yeah.
So somebody's telling me that okay. I think I got kicked.
You've been buffering. You buffering now. You didn't touch something, Malachi. Now you buffering. You buffering. I mean, all this is this technology. This part of it, man. The bandwidth. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I realized that I was on. Tracy notified me that I was looking a little blurry, and
it's been off and on. But yeah, and actually I see 3. Bingo, we good.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah, because
man, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, my building Wi-Fi like just automatically connects sometimes, versus versus my home Wi-Fi, which is the strong 5G stuff, and the building Wi-Fi is getting. So she was letting me know that it was freezing up. So anyway, so hopefully we should be good. Should be back on right now. Tracy, if you can do me a favor, just put it in the well, I'm just trying to figure out where to put it where it doesn't.
Tracy's diligent.
Nah, she's on it. I love it. Shout out, and I've been meaning to figure out how to do this, but shout out to Tracy Graham. She's been really, really, really holding it down and helping me out with this. And I hope that I'm back up right now and that you could see, because you've been doing a fucking amazing job helping me out with this, and it's really, really appreciated. So shout out to Tracy for that. Thank you so much. Hopefully we're back up now. Again, real quick, everybody that's on Instagram, head over to gogotalx.co and just click on watch, and it will take you straight to today's episode. So anyway, what I was saying before the interruption was that there's a lot of misinformation, trying to get the information out. And so even these little pieces that we get picked up through, throughout all of the different episodes, I'm hoping that, people watch them so they can start to sort of like put the puzzle together of, if you are a go-go artist or even just an independent artist, a rapper or whatever, and you want to be successful, like if you're sitting around waiting for somebody to realize how hot you are and how good you are, you're really wasting your time and spinning your wheels. You have to create something. You have to make something. And if I understand what you're saying, Akil, is that you have to have something to make a deal with. And I think that's a lot of the problem with go-go is everybody wants 100% of nothing. And
that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's just not in any way, shape, or form.
Sometimes when you want when your goal is the big check, there's a lot of sacrifice you have to make. It might be, and you just have to pay attention to the terms. I mean, in the beginning, it could just be a test run. Like a lot of artists, they get singles deals first, and that's it. And then they decide.
Yep.
But also, the more you do, I can't stress this enough. The more you do on your own, the more it doesn't matter. Raheem Devon, that's the template, ladies and gentlemen. As long as he's willing to work to continue to do what he does, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, he loves doing what he does because he performs 8 nights a week still.
Yep. Still. I know. I was booking him for some.
Dude, Raheem, when we first met, this is back when I was at RCA Records, when he first got signed. And I had heard about Urban Ab 31, but I hadn't seen him play. Yeah. So, they had called us and we signed this R&B artist, neo soul artist from DC or whatever. So maybe sometime around he called and was like, yo, what's up? This Raheem Devon. I was like, yo, what's going on? I'm looking forward to meeting you that over bit. He's like, all right, we'll bet. He's like, I just called and asked, did my wax come in? And I was like, nah. And this is during a time where, labels did everything. This is back in the time when you got a deal and became rich overnight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, and I use air quotes. This is the time when the budgets were bigger. You got access to a bigger budget under your, PO number. So he said, he asked if his wax had come in. I said no. He was like, all right, well, I'll tell you what. They come in, take my number down, give me a call, and either me or somebody from my team is gonna come get the wax so we can blaze the streets. Again, this is when it's like, yo, why my posters ain't up? I ain't doing that. This is that time. You know what I'm saying? When artists were really assholes. And they had budgets to you know what I'm saying, act like it. So it was, and that's what it is. Like, and now, fast forward, it doesn't matter if he has a label deal or not. We don't know. He puts out content, he performs. He has a charity. He does radio shows. He hosts clubs. Like, he loves to do what he does. And I can remember, now he got a fleet of cars. Now, I remember the first Howard Homecoming, he was running late because, of course, he drove himself.
Right.
And I had to go outside the yard to get him. And he was driving an old car that I had to park. But me being no stranger to old cars, I know you got to tap it on the side. And then So, and fast forward to now, and it's like, yeah, man, like he's set. He makes well into 6 figures for the rest of his life as long as he's willing to perform. It's 52 weeks in a year. As long as he's willing to perform 30 of those weeks, he good grease, man. He's good grease.
No, absolutely. So what are you finding? So obviously nobody's able to perform right now. So what are you, how are you, or what strategies have you found that are successful that RCA has been using to help their artists, sort of get through this time, or is it?
The platform du jour is Facebook Lives, really, and Zooms. That's now. I mean, now it's here. Now it's, I'm sorry, IG Lives and Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is now. Yeah. Because that's really, the few options we have. I mean, the live streams, the streaming game. Yeah.
So that's not a monetizable thing necessarily. What are you seeing? What the successful artists that you're seeing, how are they indirectly monetizing that?
If you can still move merch, or you had some ventures and other things that kind of insulated you from the quarantine, but outside of, you know what I'm saying, just creating content to remain relevant. I mean, we have it's a model where we can monetize streams. So streams have actually kept us afloat. And that was kind of, I was super blessed because I've actually been a little bit more busier. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You would think that, you know, we slowed down, but now, like you said, like we were speaking earlier, before we got like coordinate lives with, you know, is it gonna go through the stations live or the jocks? Who's gonna call in to who? And they're not ready, or the last one got on long, or it's technical issues. It's all types of things now. It's just so that's what we've been doing. And now we have a Microsoft Teams, where before my boss would call me, you know, on the phone. But now some of the calls he want to look at me. So it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and
make sure you're on, or you're really doing your thing.
Microsoft Teams is the devil, because, you know, this is conference calls. And now, you know, back before the quarantine, you know, the meetings that happen in New York, like the project meetings and stuff like that happen every day from 3 to 4, like I can log into them now. And sometimes it behooves, you know, I'm sure they look to see, you know, if they're talking about Chris Brown, why wouldn't the urban staff kind of want to see? Or even more so, like some of the developing baby acts, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, we should be dialed in, and we have the access to now. So we have the ability to now. So it's been a little bit more busy. And I've been teaching more yoga, like streaming more yoga. So we've been inside, but we've been moving. Weeks are flying by. It's already Friday tomorrow, man.
I know. Well, I'm thankful that I started building my agency already as a remote agency. I have one agent in DC. I have an assistant, or Northern Virginia. I have an assistant out here with me. He's in Huntington Beach. And then I have a marketing girl that's in Portland. And we do a Zoom call. We do an agent call every Monday, and we do it on Zoom. And then we do a marketing call on Fridays, and we do it on Zoom as well. And there's not as much to talk about right now, obviously, but there are some live streaming opportunities that we're working on for some of our artists. And if you didn't know, the guy Tim Westergren that started Pandora started another company called Live Sessions, or Sessions Live, I'm sorry, which is a live streaming platform where they do they're basically almost doing like venue deals almost. It's like they you know, depending on the same as a venue, like depending on the popularity of your artist, they can you know, they pay a guarantee, you know, what we call a versus deal, which is versus a percentage of whatever is made, whichever one is more. And the monetization method they're using is similar to like a Twitch, where they're doing, it's sort of almost like the gamified you know, monetization method, where you're not saying I'm paying $10 to watch this live stream. It's I'm gonna buy this, you know, heart or this bear or whatever this thing is that costs 5 gold pieces, and 5 gold pieces translates to $2. And so then you buy it for the artist, and you're essentially donating. But you know, and so that's something that we've been working on with some of our artists in terms of doing some shows with them, and figuring out our marketing through that. But it's all obviously done through you know, remote means as well. But
about that, did you send an email blast about that? Because I want to say, I don't know if I had heard you mention that or something like that.
I might have, but if I didn't, I'll send you the info on it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if any of your folks might be into it or not, but I've introduced a couple other agents to them, because, you know, obviously us as agents and our entire income stream depends on live revenue. And if there's no live revenue, then you know, there's no money. So
Facebook, aren't they trying to like start that live
monetization play on Facebook? Yeah, they are.
I mean, Zuckerberg and this is a whole. We need to, like, that platform is just a cesspool of filth and
well, yeah. I have a lot of fun tag teaming up with you and arguing with our more conservative friends about that stuff. But just real quick, so what I hear you saying is, if you're an artist and you're trying to take advantage, or if you're just a content creator and you're trying to take advantage of this time, you should do live streams and sell merch. So
hey, you can always sell merch. Shit, Amazon is a big business. You know what I'm saying? And they're profiting.
Yep.
And Mark Zuckerberg. Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, they're profiting. So you can absolutely. But again, it's just creating a fan base. And I mean, I'm sure go-go artists are aware of the aggregators that can, they can put your records on formats on a.
They're not. That's what I'm I mean, I'm not saying none of them are, but I'm just saying that the level of disinformation, and that's why I had, I have my boy Eric from TuneCore's new label on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the level of and the thing is the part that's frustrating to me, and I would be frustrated about it all the time, is that this information is out there. You just have to
Google. It's Google.
Right. It's not top secret information, but so that's part of the reason why I started this, because I do at least have some, affinity in the go-go community, and at least some people in the go-go community listen to me. So I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to go out and find it for yourself, then let me try to bring it to you, because my objective is and has always been that. And I don't want Backyard to stop playing at the Aqua on Fridays. I really don't. I think that the culture that go-go has created and maintained over the last 40 years is beautiful, and it should remain and continue in the way that it has been. However, I don't think that also having a go-go artist headline Coachella, I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. And I think there's enough people, in my opinion, that are handling the other part. That nobody needs my help to get booked at Fast Eddie's.
Right.
Although I do book bands at Fast Eddie's. I book a lot of bands at City Winery. I brought all the bands to the casino.
Right.
So I'm more than willing to help with that as well. But there's a lot of people that can do that.
Right.
But what I'm trying to do is figure out how to get an artist, a go-go artist, and I'm not saying a band. That's one of the things that I've been asking. I asked Donnell Floyd, I asked Monty that was on here, I asked Killer Cow, I asked a lot of people, do you need a band to be go-go? And going from your example earlier, when you're talking about Crazy in Love, or you're talking about Jill Scott, or you're talking about the Tiffany Haddish song that Rich and Tommy put out, or you're talking about any of that, there was no band.
Yeah.
So in my personal opinion, you don't need a band to be go-go. And so whether it's a go-go artist or a go-go band, I feel like it's much easier to do it as an artist versus a band.
Yeah.
But there's just there's not as much incentive to be a go-go artist, because people feel like it's because rap is more successful and R&B is more successful at this particular point in time, that they feel like that's the path of least resistance and it will be easier and bigger. But my contention is that there are no other go-go artists. So if you do that shit right, it's going to cut through way faster.
Dude, that's it. But I guess the purists don't see it that way. And I get it, but unfortunately, that's the only way it's going. Roots reggae had problems with dance hall. Kirk Franklin, the gospel community had a problem with Kirk Franklin. What is it? They thought it was blasphemous.
Yep.
Now
Kirk Franklin plays go-go. I said Kirk Franklin plays go-go. He's got chopping songs and everything.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, nah, man. I mean, again, what's your goal? Because if you want to remain a purist, then you got to step your internet game up, maybe make a play that way. You know what I'm saying? You can get on the Coachella stage, from streaming. I don't know about headlining, but if you want to headline, and that kind of lends itself to what I was saying earlier, make it a little more receptible to people who aren't from, Alabama Avenue. You know what I'm saying? Make it
right. But the argument, which is not totally wrong, the argument is that in order to record go-go in a way that, and I'm not talking about live, I'm specifically talking about recording. In order to record go-go in a way that people outside of DC will understand it, you have to water it down.
You do.
And but I think that's I mean, obviously the definition of watering it down is subjective. I didn't think Welcome to DC was watered down. Some people,
and that's what I do. Yeah. I even call Black. First of all, Black Boo is a monster on the pen.
He is.
I was like, good God, he's sick and got the voice to it too. That's an amazing record and do, but it just lended itself well with these. Because I had actually sent that to a couple people from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? When I was messing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of my that's one in my top 10 as far as go records. Like no bull.
Right. Yep. Well, that was all of that, but all of that was very intentional. I chased after Black Boo to get him in the band for a long time before he agreed to do it. Right. I had very specific strategy when putting Mambo Sauce together was that if you weren't under 25, you had to look like you were under 25. And for I was only going to have 2 vocalists, 1 male and 1 female. And I modeled that after a band that was out here in LA when I lived here the first time called 4th Avenue Jones, which was fronted by, remember the guy Ahmad back in the day when I was young? Yeah. So he had a band out here when I was out here in the early 2000s, and it was him and his wife. I'm pretty sure it was his wife. I may be misremembering that, but it was basically like Mambo Sauce was, except instead of a conga player and go-go, they had a violin player, and it was dope as shit, and they were killing ass band. But so basically that's what I built it off of. But I was like, I'm gonna get a rapper, but the rapper has to really be able to spit.
Yeah.
So that's why I chased after Black for a long time to make sure that I got him. You know what I'm saying? And this singer had to really be able to sing. Yendi, that, you know, for people that don't know, she toured with Aaliyah, she toured with Brandy, she toured with Tank. She was a background singer for all of them. You know what I'm saying? And she could sing her ass off. And she had a look, and all of that was you know, that was thrown into that gumbo. But there are some people that say that feel that was a watered down sound, that isn't authentic go-go, or Mambo Sauce wasn't a go-go band or whatever. And my contention to that is go-go is what people in go-go say it is. You know what I mean?
My thing is, and I kind of get their point, but if you only want, because it is, you have to be there to see it. Like there's a certain vibe you get when you step out of the Verizon Center, when kids are playing this, you feel that, and you can't help but to. Like there's a vibe I got at the Mirage.
Yeah.
When I heard SG Spirit, bro, I thought it was trash. And he's another one. That's a personal friend of mine. Like that's like, but it's crazy like how that came full circle. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I mean, like you said, it's kind of subjective. You know, all keep it real. No, like they get it. Backyard plays at the Aqua Club. You want to find somebody in Tennessee that's gonna rock with you, because guess what? When your DJ takes it to college in North Carolina, they rock with it. But again, it's something you have to experience that way. Where it's, you know, you get 12, you at a college in North Carolina, and you get 40 people at a club from the DMV. And somebody DJ throwing a go-go set, guess what? It's gonna turn into a party with those who remember from the crib. You know what I'm saying? So it's an experience, man. And that's why, again, you limit yourself when you try to. We have to expand our horizons, man, and get out of our comfort zones.
Yeah. So okay, so that brings me to my next point, which would hopefully encapsulate all of this in one thought. If you're on Instagram right now, it's about to end. So head over to Gogotalx.co and you can watch the rest of the episode. Just click watch on today's episode with Akil. You got about a minute and a half. If you're on Instagram right now, head over to Gogotalx.co or youtube.com/Gogotalx will take you there as well. And click on today's episode with Akil and you can watch the rest of it. Otherwise, you're about to be cut off. Sorry. So my question is, say you are you're a manager of a go-go band, right? Or a go-go artist. What would you, and your 2 scenarios. The first one is you haven't done anything yet. You're just starting. What are you advising this person to do if their goal is to be, you know, Chris Brown or Beyonce or, you know, Radiohead or whatever?
We got to start out recording some joints and getting some content together. And then
record first.
Visualizers, you know, just the tracks and stuff like that. And again, artists, they also have to, it's just not about the music anymore. A lot of artists right now, Fabulous, when's the last time he put out a record? But he matters because he's active
on Instagram.
Gilly the Kid has reinvented himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's reinvented himself, and he's amazing.
So, I have Joe Jackson from Go Ventures on tomorrow, and he actually, I think they have a song with a Go song with Gilly the Kid. I haven't heard it yet, so don't quote me on that. But we're talking about that tomorrow.
It's creating content and find out creative and strategic ways to put it out. Mm-hmm. Because first thing with an artist, I find out if they have access to record. When you can just, get creative, because again, lightning in a bottle, if you're lucky, but you got to put in the work. You can't skip steps, man. If you do, because you don't have any base, you don't establish a base when you skip too many steps. That's the thing with her. Her was building for years before we had a record at radio, and they were comfortable putting 1,000 people in a venue across the world at $30 to $50. That's much, like they did math.
Yep,
did math. Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing so you have your artist. First thing you're saying is get in the studio and record. So and it's
not the studio. Again, it's outside content as well. Like we can put out visualize on YouTube. We can,
So what's a visualizer? Because that's a relatively new concept, and I'm not sure lots of people know what that is.
A visualizer, as opposed to a video, getting a shot on location and getting the cars, the women that rent the house. Mm-hmm. Get a couple stills. Get a couple of stills, a couple images, and just have the song playing on that. Those are great marketing tools. We do them. Major artists also lyric videos.
Yep.
Those are great marketing tools. And think about it, when you release those, release it like it's a new album. Yep. Visualize up on YouTube now in your stories. Bam, you check it out. Yo, we up to 3,000 views. Can we get 5,000 by Friday, by the weekend, and we gonna get it's things like that. Like, just creating excitement. This is a lot of fluff because this is all we're doing now. Even before this is what we were doing.
Yep. So just to be clear, so for the people that don't know the visualizer thing, if you're on Spotify and you play an artist and there's a video playing in the background, and it's just the same 2 or 3 images going back and forth, and there's some smoke and weird stuff going on. That's what a visualizer is. I actually just found yesterday, and I played around with it a little bit, but there's a company called Rotor, ROTOR, like the rotor in your car, and Rotor Video, and they basically are it's sort of like a visualizer creator, if you will, but they just have stock video. And so they might have somebody dancing around or whatever, and they beat match with your song.
Oh, okay.
And so it and everything's sort of in slow mo, and it's kind of it may work, it may not, because you go to click in urban dance or something, and there's 5 white girls dancing, or so they're not all the way there yet with their content. But so you can kind of mess around with it, and you don't have to do.
But it can also be like some dope images of you.
Right, exactly.
We was outside, we was at Icebox in the I-Bets, or it can be whatever, it can be, and it can be 1 picture or 2 or 3. Like I say, visualize it just because that's just what it is. A neat photo with just somebody listening to your joint, and you get that marketing push. Also, another thing that I learned about, as far as things you have to think about with streaming and working those algorithms. Kids nowadays don't serve you serve passing plates. They don't do big meals now. You can't put out a project with 12 records. Kids aren't going to listen to that. A single here and there, an EP. It's best to put out 4 EPs with 3 records, or 3 EPs with 4 records over the course of a year, then dropping it out.
That's right. So what we were talking about earlier. So the fact that that the need for content, continuous content, is so great that it changes the release structure of how you put stuff out. Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely about it's exactly the reason why I'm doing this show. I've been doing it 4 times a week up until this week. Next week I'm going to do it 3 because it's kicking my ass.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to stop teaching someone. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's gets. It's like, whoa.
Right. Right. Okay. So you got your artist. They recorded some songs, excuse me. And also keep in mind, this is where the artist versus band thing comes in. there's significantly more friction involved with trying to record a 14-piece band across multiple levels than there are for you to be a producer and a rapper, or a producer and a singer in a room, or via email or whatever. So that's why my contention is that the future for go-go is not based around a band. It's based around, it's a producer-based medium, and I'm working on something for that as well. So, okay, so you got your artists, they got their recordings, they've got their visualizer. Now what do they do?
I mean, that's basically the sauce, and release them strategically, develop a plan how you're going to release them and see what sticks. If nothing sticks, go back to the drawing board. But like you said, once you started doing these Gogotalx, you always get something else to think about. You know what I'm saying? That's where like the universe play comes in. Once you begin to start doing what you need to do, the universe has a way in giving you, what you need, and, direct you in other directions. So just by starting, you never know. An artist might reach out, or a product might reach out, like, I see what you're doing. Why don't, you know what I'm saying? Somebody, lo and behold, somebody running the company, and they're from DC, and they found this great go-go record they might want to use, and, backyard may charge them too much. This is dope. We're newer. Yeah, let's go.
Well, that's exactly what happens. That people have been reaching out to me just from starting this, you know what I mean? And that's sort of another one of the reasons I did it, was to sort of try to shake the tree a little bit and see what leaves fall out of people that are really about trying to do something. You know what I mean? So what if you're an already existing say your backyard, or say your CCB or whatever, and you already have this history of stuff that you've been doing, does that strategy change at all, or do you the same thing?
That's where you have to have a serious come to Jesus conversation.
Yeah,
guys, we've been doing this, and we know we can make a living. Because we know we can make a living, but to get to that next level, let's be honest with ourselves. That's where that real conversation, because that's something key you said, like maybe a producer. And and see, nothing when you're with a band, it's just so many bodies. It's a lot, as opposed to 3 people. It's like you say, 14. Good God,
right?
That's a
lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, and especially if it's a lot of people, and nobody's willing to, like Wu-Tang Clan couldn't. They could come out, but you had to branch off, a few solo records, everybody's not on every record.
Right.
So they really have to, the strategy is to split it down, because we can't serve people 14 dishes and everything. You know what I'm saying? I can't have string beans, potatoes, yams, chicken, burgers, fish, lamb.
Right. I'm hungry now.
A protein and a vegetable at a time. You know what I'm saying? You starch, a protein, and a vegetable. So, that's key what you said, dude. Like a go-go producer as opposed to a band.
I'm surprised we haven't talked about it yet, but that's something I'm actually working on right now.
Yeah, man. Because so why wasn't Crazy in Love? Other than the title to lend itself, people knew it was go-go. I wish it could have said it, so it would have been like, open up here. You know what I'm saying? Because you knew it was go-go, but it just kind of like understood.
Right.
So
right.
Only
people that already knew about it. And there is something to be said. There is something cool about us having our thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
DC has beautiful women. DC has a lot of disposable income. There are a lot of young people moving and shaking in here. It's basically the epicenter for the globe. Technically speaking, the most powerful person lives, right here up the block. All fucking agencies. Dude, you can't let somebody come to DC. They love go-go. You can't from wherever. But you want me to like go-go. If you want my homies that I grew up with to like go-go, nah, they might want to come out here and with these beautiful DC women and kick it, but they ain't about to bump it in their car unless you have. But they like Crazy in Love, Bustin' Loose. Again, I thought that was funk growing up.
Right,
I thought it was funk growing up, and it is go-go, but it's not like backyard. So like you said, and they have to be willing in order to, that's a sacrifice the culture has to make.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? We're gonna get a go-go track and let's see what happens. Let's create some magic.
Right. Well, I'm of the belief that I don't think the culture has to suffer for it. And of course I could be wrong.
Sacrifice.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like both things can happen at the same time. I feel like there can still be what's been going on for the last 40 years and been putting food on people's table, which I certainly would never want to take away. You know what I mean? But also there can be for those who there's almost everybody I've talked to has the desire to do more.
Right.
But most people don't have the knowledge. There's a few things that stand in the way. They don't have the knowledge of what to do.
Right.
They have such an ingrained mindset of what we've been told go-go is and what go-go means for 40 years that it's almost like an inferiority complex. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm playing in this go-go band and make a couple $100, but really I'm working on my R&B project or my hip hop project or whatever. That's really what I feel like is going to make me successful. Instead of putting your effort into the go-go thing, which honestly would be an easier sell if you did the things that you were supposed to do. But that's the reason why these type of conversations are important. You know what I mean?
Desire. I don't want to cut you off.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Desire and willingness, wanting to and willing to.
Yep.
You in a go-go band, you get you $150 a week or whatever, but you're working on your R&B project. You producing? You want to produce go-go, kill two birds with one stone. Boom.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So what? Yeah. So from a brass tacks sort of tangible standpoint, because you worked with artists for a very long time, and you're not the one that signs them, but you're around them a lot because you're the one that takes them to the radio stations, blah blah blah, and goes to the events with them, etc. So, well, I asked Madi this too: if there were any sort of repeatable traits or just kind of commonalities that all of the ones who have had longevity in this business have, what would you say those are?
The ones who have longevity, they work hard.
How does that, because a lot of people say that, but how does that actually, how does that play out tangibly? Like, what exactly does that mean? What do they do?
Okay,
like what do they work on?
You can clearly tell Migos has 3 members.
Yep.
You know who works the hardest. He's on everything.
Yep.
They need him in the studio to recut something. He's there. They need him to do something right for other people. And again, because people don't understand, opportunities come, but you got to get them. You got to cut that verse and send it back because everybody got deadlines. And artists even talk about it. Like, man, he was great to work with. You know what I'm saying? I sent it to him. Man, he sent me the joint. I sent it right back, and bam, mother's like, you find out later they had beefs. Man, I sent them a joint. It took all day, or that's when a track gets both on recording. Well, dude, you can't produce. It's like, yo, you can't keep the music all this time. I mean, I sent it to 2 or 3 people. Like and that's how it is too. When you at that weight, it's protected anyway. So if anybody gets a check on it, it's gonna come to me anyway. So he might send it to a couple camps to see who hops on it first. So that's what I mean by working hard. Breezy, say what you will. But once he popped out the Rust Bus, his first 7 years of his career, his first 3 to 5 years of his career, he did not have a block of 10 days on the calendar. Like the first, because he was everywhere and did everything. And this wasn't just the US, wasn't just the DMV. All over the country. Overseas is grueling because when you go overseas, you know this, you only over there. So you got to go over there and get all the bread.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, it was table readings. It was commercial. Like he would have to schedule personal day, here, birthday, somebody had passed, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So but it was never a block of 10 days together on it for like the first 5 years of his career. And even now, all the music he puts out because he has to record it. And he records for other people. I mean, all the records Chris Brown on, I can't think of anybody that's like, yo, I hate to work with him because you send him a joint, it takes him all day to do. Like, remember, Produce Man working with Dre. Dre will take 3 years to put out an album. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, and produce like, hey, he take too long. But Breezy, nah, he works.
Right. So I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing work ethic, and I'm hearing speed. Two things which are not. I don't
want to say
Gogo at all.
I don't, because again, in the creative process, it can't be rushed. But just respect. You're respecting somebody's time.
Right. Well, no. Okay. Yeah.
You're like, they ask you to be somewhere, you need to be there. Once, and the team. That's also key. At least one person who understands. Dude, you're going on Gogotalx at 6 o'clock. Now 6:15. Now 6:20. Like, come on. With a team who like you see the artist and I'll do it for y'all, but no, tell him to call me. Know what, dude? Hit him. Tell him I said to call you, and we'll put it together. Because I got beer in my hand. I got girls who like that type of thing. So it's just respecting people's time, man. And it's a certain level of professionalism, man. But I will say, and the work is just, you got to do the work, man. It's tough to create content. Gilly was mentioning that I was listening to it because I painted last week, and I was listening to their podcast. He's like, dude, you think it ain't work creating dope content every day? And you're right. Yes. They always have something interesting to watch. That's editing. I'm having to do that, dude. That's a 2-3 hour process. Like, whoa. Man,
the reason I moved this show to YouTube was so I didn't have to keep editing, because taking it from Instagram it's a pain in the ass. I hate editing video. It drives me damn wall.
So that's what it is. Okay. Like, as a yogi, I need to be putting some content up every day, literally. Record it, splice it, and just
Let's go there for a second. We're a little over time, but that's all right. Let's go there for a second. So you said you're a yogi, you're a yoga instructor. Yeah. And I assume you probably meditate as well. I don't do yoga, but I meditate occasionally. I need to get better on it. How do you feel that has impacted your life in a positive way? Just for anybody that's watching that may be trying to figure out how to be a little bit more centered, and how to find the peace, if you will, to be able to concentrate enough to produce content and to put stuff out and to create music and to be professional and all those things that you need to do. Do you feel like doing yoga and or meditation can help you in those endeavors?
Absolutely. Dude, that's the tool to help you acquire like emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And again, I've been doing this since the 90s. I started interning in 93. Mm-hmm. So I'm from that era where it was cool to smoke all the weed, mm-hmm. drink all the liquor, be out 8 nights a week, mm-hmm. stay in the club till it closed down, and being an executive, be banging the phones out by 10:30, 11 o'clock the next day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm from that era.
Right.
And we fast forward 15, couple decades later, it's like, some of us aren't here. Some of us got all types of dealing with health issues. The lifestyle takes its toll. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. The lifestyle takes its toll. So I've always been skinny with muscles. And as I got old, I started to realize the importance of stretching. Mm-hmm. So I popped in my ex's VHS and a yoga VHS. And I was like, I'm going to try this out, open mind. And I was like, whoa. First of all, I realized how difficult it was. I was like, I was going to be strong. I'm like, yo. And then how I felt, exercising, period. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, and I do it all. I'm active. I'm not just yoga. So
right.
Weights, calisthenics, and that whole bit. But I felt like I took one to the head. I was like, this is a little different. You know, this feels a little bit more, man, we brolic. Just did 100, knocked out 100 push-ups and been on the, pull-ups and that whole bit. So I was like, I started incorporating, maybe doing it once a month, started on the P90X joint. That was amazing. We started going to Lululemon, and I was going to the one in Annapolis.
Okay, no, that's where I'm from.
They yoga on Sundays. They used to every Saturday. So whenever I was home, and I like their clothes, Lululemon clothes, and it's expensive. So I say, you know what? If I go to 3 Saturdays in a row, I'll treat myself to something nice off the sales rack. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I messed around and walked to my first yoga studio, and dude, yoga pants, and I was like, so that helped me get over, you know what, my ass ain't flexible, but I feel good when I come in this motherfucker, so I'm coming in here and I'm gonna stretch and breathe and So I realized after I went to my first yoga festival, I was there Friday and I left Sunday. Thursday and I left Sunday. Thursday night, Saturday was cool, or Friday. That last night when I knew I didn't have to go to any yoga class the next day, that was when the camel toe started coming. I'm like, whoa. So I was like, I must have the bug because I was oblivious to it.
That's funny.
I must have the bug. So now, and now it's the thing like this, I'm, totally respectful because again, it's a population of women.
Yeah.
I'm totally respectful. And it's just, dude, it's an amazing practice, how it makes you feel. You know what I'm saying? Now, moving the poses, when you begin to learn their benefits and stuff like that, like real quick. When yogas are upside down, like doing handstands or headstands, some of them may be doing it to show off. But bottom line, that's the only way your brain gets fresh blood when you're inverted. And I liken it to orange juice. When you take orange juice out the refrigerator, because it's settled, you need to shake it.
Yep.
Every time your brain gets fresh blood, because we're either horizontal or long or horizontal. We're never inverted.
Right.
That's the only way your body gets fresh. That's the only way your brain gets fresh blood. When you do different twists, those detoxify your internal organs. So yeah, man, they're amazing benefits, and you learn how they feel. And as far as meditation, I'm getting into that more. Meditation, pretty much like with our computers, you can log off in that whole bit, but sometimes you have to shut down and reboot. Yep. I like to think of meditation as a rebooting of the self.
Yep.
A rebooting of the self. And I'm learning so much more about the breath work, dude. And, meditation really physiologically slows down your brain's aging process. It does. This is scientifically proven.
Yep.
And dude, we like to think that yoga started in India, but there are studies that show the first practice was in Kemet, Egypt. Kemet,
yep.
And, as everything.
I'm not surprised by that.
There were yoga poses inscribed in hieroglyphics in the pyramids.
Right.
There are. Yeah, so I was like, yeah.
I'm not surprised by that at all. If you're getting into the meditation thing, I should hook you up with, or maybe you already know him, but I have a client. His name's Born Eye. He's a rapper, but he raps over like EDM music, but he also is a meditation instructor. He primarily primarily teaches kids, but he is doing the voiceover for this meditation app called Balance. So if you go on get this app called Balance and you hear the voice, that's him.
Yeah, and and again, like to throw this even back to artists. Like artists are now, they're getting revenue doing gaming, doing music for gaming, licensing the records to gaming companies and things like that. And I'm sure, dude, DC, a lot of movers and shakers are in DC and in these places. So it's just a matter of somebody making it again. It's still niche. If they're in a boardroom in New York or Cali talking about rolling out a market plan and having go-go, you got to give them, you can't take them to, you can't take them to Southeast. You know what I'm saying? Well, you can take them to South. You got to spoon feed them. They can get more so with a Crazy in Love record than they can get, from a go-go purist record, so to speak.
Yeah. No, that was the idea behind Mambo Sauce. I was trying to sort of, it wasn't just for Mambo Sauce to be successful. I started a record label, an independent record label, and then I put Mambo Sauce together to be the first artist on that record label because it hadn't existed, and the idea was to create the blueprint for other people to follow. But obviously there were other complications. A lot of the same sort of DC go-go mentality was really what was the downfall of that band. And so that, and because that thinking is so prevalent within the community, that's a lot of the reason why I wanted to do these, so that I could, so we could start to get information from people like yourself that work at RCA Records. So, okay, don't be on the Go-Go Report or, whatever in Facebook and be arguing with some dude that works for UPS. Right. Talking about what a record label does. No, let's talk to the guy that works for RCA Records since 1998 to tell us what a record label does. So that's sort of the point of this. And I'm hoping that, like, if there's some younger guys, I mean, the other problem is that the go-go community and the go-go musicians are aging. You know what I mean? And the youth are not as interested in it as they used to be. And so I'm also sort of trying to reinvigorate a little bit of interest there before it just totally dies out.
That's what you may need to get. You need a younger torchbearer, but like you say, that go-go producer in the go-go band, like you're absolutely right, because it becomes cumbersome. Because again, at the end of the day, it's math. Yes, it's creativity and commerce.
Yep.
And they go hand in hand to make you successful. You know what I'm saying? Creativity and commerce. So when you're thinking about moving 8 plus people around as opposed to 3 and 4, or 8 plus just band members.
Yep.
Not including take care of business.
Yep.
Not including somebody who has to protect the person who has the settlement. You know what I'm saying? It's all those types of things. Well, it could be the band members, but that's a whole other thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Level of success. You don't need to be doing no Googling. You know what I'm saying? When you get to a level of success.
Right. Absolutely. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much. And I'm gonna link you up with Born.
RZA has his own meditation EP.
Who is this?
RZA.
Oh, does he really?
RZA has a meditation EP. Absolutely.
Okay, that's what's up. I need to check that out. Yeah. But yeah, Born's local, and he's just a really good dude. You know what I'm saying? I feel like y'all would.
We teach kids, man, and I want to get more so with kids. You know what I'm saying? I want to get more so with kids because it's this saying, the Dalai Lama. If every child in the world, 8 years of age, were taught meditation, we would eradicate a lot of this shit in one generation. Because it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. You know what I'm saying? That's
1,000,000%.
Meditation just teaches you, as opposed to attaching yourself to it, you just kind of, don't say I'm depressed. Say this is depression. Mm-hmm. And you have to journey through it. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
If I'm mad, well, I'm not angry. This is what anger is. So let me sit my ass down somewhere
and figure out how to get past it.
And I'll be all right. That type of thing, man. So yeah.
100%. Well, yeah, man, I'm gonna link you up with him. I'm gonna also give you a call and let you know about this go-go producer thing that I'm working on, and trying to pick your brain, and because I'm trying to figure it out. Got another move on my hands here. I'm trying to work out, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, man, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. And I'm probably going to redo some people, like bring other people back on to continue the conversation so we've already gotten past your backstory or whatever, but we can have a conversation like really just about the topic of how to move the culture and the genre forward as well, and spend more time on that. But thanks, man. I appreciate you, brother. Oh, when can people check out your classes?
Follow me on Instagram at Conscious Crusade. But I teach, and the information is on there at Conscious Crusade. Yep, on Instagram.
Okay, let me put that up real quick.
The next class is Sunday at 11 a.m.
I think did I spell this right?
CONS.
Yeah, I was like, there's something missing there. Let me
CONSCIOUS.
There we go. Okay. All right. So follow my man Akil on Conscious Crusade, and check out his his go-go classes. Check out his yoga classes. Maybe we need to do that. We need to do go-go yoga. There you go.
Why not?
That's what it is.
Wow.
All right, man. Thanks so much, Akil. Appreciate you.
Bro. All right. Peace.
All right, man. Have a good one. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Gogotalx here on Gogotalx.co. Appreciate it. Thanks so much to Akil for coming on today. Make sure you subscribe. Please click the subscribe button below and the little bell icon that's up above, so you'll get notified when all the new episodes come up. And really appreciate everybody checking it out. Tomorrow we've got Joe Jackson of GoGo Ventures, and starting next week, I'm backing down to Wednesday through Friday because the show is kicking my ass. But I thank all you guys for tuning in, and I hope you're getting some good information out of it. Please share it with anyone that you think would benefit from the information as well. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.